Hi, I'm David Lee, and this is What's Cooking at Shell Point.
And I'm Ruth Duber, and David has an exciting thing to show you today that you're all going to love. So David, it's all yours.
I hope so.
Oh, they will.
It's
Sure
one
they
of my
will.
leftovers. I run into a lot of you and get advice, and I'm thinking of doing some of the recipes that you asked me to do, but people say keep it simple. My first response is most everything we do is simple, and we do have the time.
That's
it's not
right.
like we don't have the time.
Yeah,
But at any rate,
right.
there's a million recipes for stuffed tomatoes, but for me, I just one day I had a stuffed tomato, and I had a tomato and a mushroom, and so I just kind of threw it together. So I'm just going to do that for you too. So part of what happened for me with this one was that I had a chicken in the oven, and I didn't have any carrots. So so while the chicken was resting, I just put the tomatoes in and brought them out. So let me show you.
Instead of carrots.
Instead of the carrots. So let me just show you my simple way to do it.
Okay, that's wonderful.
And the simpler the better. So
go
for
right
this
ahead.
recipe, we need a tomato. We're going to need one mushroom. We're going to need some breadcrumbs, some good olive oil, and the rest becomes whatever you got in the kitchen or don't have. Now, I happen to have an herb garden, so I have some parsley and some thyme, but open your drawer, whatever you've got, or just leave it out. One of the things I don't like to over-season things anyway. I really like to let the flavors of whatever you're cooking come out. So, but the final ingredient that I put on was Reggio Parmesan cheese. And I buy it in small quantities because it's so good.
Yeah. Do you save the rind that is on some of them?
I actually got it out here because I said, save the rind.
Okay.
Most people throw it out because you use it for soup.
Yeah, I
So,
wondered if you did that. And
yep.
we're sure you did.
As soon as we're done here, I'll stick it in the freezer.
Okay.
So, and a little salt and pepper. So let's get started. Once again, it's simple. The first thing I do is very carefully just shave off the bottom. And I don't want to cut through the tomato. And the reason I want that shaved off is now I have something that will stand up when I cook it. Okay, so then I'm going to cut off the top, throw that away, and now I want to get the inside out. And you can do almost anything you want. I happen to use my handy dandy grapefruit knife. And there's no magic to this. I just want to be careful not to cut through the tomato. And I've cut through it before too. You're not going to ruin it. So I'm just going to keep coming around, and then I'll just kind of push my knife towards the inside until it pops out. And I want to put a plug in for our farmer's market here at Shell Point because it's a little early in the season when we're taping this show, but she's got some darn nice tomatoes for this time of year. So the next thing I'm going to do, I got that cut out, and see, I didn't do it real fancy, is I want to get rid of as much of the liquid as possible and the seeds. So I'm just going to work my fingers in here. I usually do this over the sink, but since we're doing it on a show here, it's much easier to do it all in one place. So there, I've got my tomato cleaned out. Now I'm going to put this over my bowl or sink, and I want to get rid of all the white stuff, I call it here, because that's the tough stuff and has no flavor. And surprisingly, you don't need a whole lot to stuff this tomato. So I'll get rid of this. Okay, now see, I still got some white core because it's an early tomato, and I don't want that in here, so I'm just going to roughly chop this up and chop right around that. It does help to have a sharp knife, Ruth. And throw that away. Okay, so just chop that up a little bit more. And then I've got a second bowl here.
Let me take this away.
We'll mix everything in. So now my one mushroom. And they usually have a little dirt on them. And I have a mushroom brush here. But there's an old wives' tale that you shouldn't clean them in water. It'll soak up water. But they've now discovered that is not true.
That's
so
right,
you
yeah.
can wash them in water if you want. I just learned the old-fashioned method. And I don't want any more water in my sauce than I can have here. So I'll clean it all up. Doesn't take but a second. But if I were going to do a whole batch, I put them in water a little ahead of time. So I'll trim off the bottom. But now we're just going to cut this one up.
You didn't want it in there, did you?
No, no, you're...
Okay.
Now I'll toss that in here with my tomato. Okay, so now we got my tomato. Now we're going to make a little... Now once again, people say, oh, this is too much work. Leave the parsley out. Leave the thyme out.
Can they use the dried parsley?
Or just
I would
open your
think.
drawer,
Yeah,
get some dried out. I don't want to put too much because I like the flavor of the mushroom and the tomato. That's what I'm looking for here. So, and it doesn't take much time. And if you go, if you have fresh, if you tear it off and pull backwards, you usually get them right off there. I hate to lose any of those little things. So there you have it. There's a little thyme, a little parsley. We'll chop this up. People say, oh, look how well you chop. I don't chop that well at all. And just any way you can just chop it up, put it in there. Okay, now that's the hardest part. So now we're going to put a little breadcrumbs in here. But for my gluten-free friends, you can put panko in there instead.
Oh, okay.
And my wife says, don't put too many breadcrumbs. I don't like too much of that in there. So the recipe I'm calling for today, I'm saying 3 tablespoons. 2 might do it. So this is one of those things where just experiment with it. And I want about 3 tablespoons of olive oil. And I just need to mix it up. And I don't have quite enough olive oil because I want to just, well, maybe I do. I just want to coat the breadcrumbs. I think a little bit more because, as you can see, I don't have any coating the mushrooms. So I just want a light coat on them. There you have it. Now, I want to put a little salt and pepper on it. And I sometimes don't even put the salt, but the pepper I think really adds some flavor to it. So I borrowed Ruth's big thing of salt here. That's more salt than I need, so I'll throw some over my shoulder. Just kidding, Ruth.
Okay. I'll make you clean my floor.
Okay, got that mixed up. Now we're going to stuff our tomato. I like to pack it in there. Now, as I said at the beginning, I just came up with this because I had an extra tomato and some mushrooms, and I didn't have any other veggies. So I took my chicken out of the oven, covered it to let it rest for 20 minutes, and put this in the oven for 20 minutes, but only after I grated a little or a lot of Parmesan cheese on top.
That really picks up the flavor of it.
It really does. So there you have it. Now we'll put it in the oven and we'll wait 20 minutes and see what we come up with. How's that?
Okay,
Ruth?
all righty. That sounds great.
Okay, it's been 20 minutes. And here we go. Our stuffed tomato. So it is hot. So there we have it on the plate. And I can't help myself, Ruth.
A little
more cheese would
Absolutely.
never hurt anything.
No. Yep, that makes it really good.
There you go. Now, I'm going to go ahead and cut it open.
But I don't think we're going to taste it.
We're not going to taste it right away here. There you have it.
Oh, look at that.
A very simple
Looks
dish.
wonderful.
And it's something
Yes.
you have prepared ahead, you just throw in the oven.
And as you say, you can use panko instead of the breadcrumbs.
And for
That's a good idea.
one of these days I'm going to try it without even any breadcrumbs.
Okay.
My wife says, let's just have the flavors come out.
Sure.
So there you have it. I hope you try it and enjoy it. And
We'll put it up on the website for you so you can really try this. Okay.
Thank you now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.